LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Good evening, welcome to Premier League Forecast. It's me, Chris Brack. It's Luke live from Ryan Reynolds' apartment, and Jack's back from Talking Ballacks. Luke, how'd you get into Ryan Reynolds' apartment? Does he know?
Probably not, no. I've hid in one of his spare rooms.
Yeah, so, yeah. You've well nicked his Deadpool mask, haven't you?
100%. 100% I've nicked it.
Jack, how are you?
Well, good, thanks, mate. Yeah, good to be back. 2 weeks in a row, lucky people. I'm just making the most of it before we get relegated, so I'm getting my fill before I become the Championship correspondent.
That's all right. You could be a neutral then every time you come on. Yeah. So today's show is sponsored by bookmakers.com. There are bookies. They'll find you all the best deals. So details in the description below. If gambling is not your thing, don't worry about it. If it is, please gamble responsibly. But also check out their YouTube channel. Gab's on it once a week. We tend to do previews on there of Premier League games. So a bit of fun about your favourite players, managers, and there's loads of good stats on there. And Kev's in the chat as well. Look at that. He should be on the show. So he's saying smash the like button, which is very good. Kev has a 4 o'clock wake up call for a 5 a.m. flight tomorrow. Bless him. So quite impressed he's actually still awake. So we'll see how long he lasts. Before Kev and the Trippers descend onto Liverpool. So, what more can you want?
He'll be sleeping on the way there.
I doubt what with Gavin, Shawnee and Emmett, I very much doubt they are.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
And I think I'm meeting them about midday, so, we'll see what state they're in by then. Until then, let's start with a bit of footy, right? Let's get this one out of the way. Man City versus Chelsea. We assume this will be the title parade. This City, to be fair, I saw it's got demolished Real Madrid. Second European Cup final. So, and they're playing a Chelsea side who are 17th in the form guide, 1 win in the last 6, scored 7, conceded 11. I've got 7 out injured, 3 doubtfuls, and City have got top of the form guide, 6 wins out of 6, barely conceded, and all they're missing is Nathan Ake. So, Jack, Chelsea win then?
Well, it would seem that way, wouldn't it? If there's one thing I know about my time on the Daytrippers podcast, is that I am a stickler for getting predictions absolutely right, because I think I got none. The only one I got right last week was the one between us two, like Leicester and Liverpool. All the others, I was a mile off. So if you want to bet, don't listen to me. But yeah, Chelsea have still got quality. This is the thing that everyone seems to forget. No matter how poor they've been for, months now, they have still got a lot of players that can hurt you. Like it doesn't matter. Like they've got quality players. Like Sterling was phenomenal for City for a great number of years. Like I feel like Thiago Silva, when he's fit, is a really tough defender. But this City team is
definitely
just it's kind of it leaves a sour taste in the mouth because of how they've become the great side that they are. But there is no denying that they are one of the greatest sides the Premier League's ever seen. So every time they play, even against Real Madrid on Wednesday night, like you can't help but think they're going to win comfortably. It's a shock when they win like by 1 or 2 goals, let alone lose. And it's just I think there's only one way you can see it going.
Yeah, I think that's what. Well, sorry, of course talk for me. That's what I don't like. Is I always think footy needs a bit of peril. Because then the win's worth more, And it sort of feels like, they've got 115 charges against them for alleged financial irregularities, this is the second time they've had this hang over them, which then does leave a sour taste of like, yeah, you are a great side. Yeah, you have got great players, but...
You need to see the outcome of this, though.
But if the outcome of this tribunal is you've got it by not playing to the rules of the game, then it doesn't really feel right. And listen, I'm sure there'll be City fans because there always are when this subject comes up. I don't generally give a shit about the arm when they go, well, FFP, the rules are unfair, this stuff. You know the rules before you go on. The example I could give is I could say, I don't think the speed limit remote should be 70, it should be 80. But if a copper pulls me over tomorrow and says, I said, you're doing 80. Well, I don't think it should be set. I think it should be set 80 anyway. So it's an unfair rule. The cop's going to go, you still get a speed of 5, mate. They're the rules. So whether you like it or not, get on with it. You know, kind of play to the rules. And I'll be honest, they've still got they still have loads of money, and they still would have bought an exceptional squad. Yeah. But you know, that's where I think it leaves a bit of a sour taste sometimes.
Just taken more time.
Yeah, the one thing that City have got in their favour though, in terms of like obviously Christian mentioned there, like the rules are the rules. Is I was reading something and listening to another podcast as well, and they were saying that there's like a time bar thing. So the charges were brought against them after 2021, but the rules had changed, and a lot of the
that's what UEFA got stuck for. I think
it might be the same with the Premier League thing, because a lot of the charges are from like 13, 14, 14, 15, that sort of time period.
The rules came in 2011, 12.
I think the story I've read is that there isn't a time bar, and there isn't. Surprisingly, there isn't an appeal process. So whatever the outcome is the outcome, which I find really odd that there's no appeal process. There's no appeal process for everything. But let's be honest, whatever comes out of City, we're not going to know for at least 2 years anyway. That seems to be the standard line. I mean, what the other thing I find funny now is, what was about City is, the latest story has come out and said, we want it dismissed because the head barrister you've got who's looking after it for the Premier League is an Arsenal fan, so we think it's wholly unfair. I'm a bit like, well, if you've got nothing, if you've done nothing wrong, then why are you going for the barrister? Just prove you've done nothing wrong. It just feels a bit Donald Trump dirty tactics. You know, everyone's against me. It's not true. It's not true. You're like, if
there's one thing we know for sure from history, and this is one thing that all major court cases will tell us, it's the guy with the biggest wallet usually wins. So it's Abu Dhabi versus UEFA or the Premier League, whoever they're battling against. It's who comes out on top is the one with the most money, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. You would like to think if it's a bit of 4-year investigation, you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's and made sure you've.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't do, in my head, you don't do a 4-year investigation and then charge someone for a fine. No, you're going for something bigger, and you're going for an example. So, and look, if they're proven innocent, they're proven innocent.
Or the book,
is
getting chucked.
Exactly. If they're proven innocent, so be it. But if the Premier League have done what UEFA did, which is they haven't dotted their I's across the T's, you're just going to look really weak, and it's just going to be open season.
But it's the same with the Everton one, though, isn't it? Like Everton, this is the second year in a row Everton have had like an accusation almost thrown at them, and they've not done anything about it again.
The World Cups are going to sue them, I think. If they stay up, I think they're going to be sued for like £300 million for not getting the points deduction.
But
Everton are going to get sold as well for £600 million. So
but let's say Leicester go down, and we fully deserve to go down because we've been dog shit all season. So on the pitch we deserve to, but if we go down, then the Premier League at the end of the season say, okay, Everton are going to start next season with a points deduction. Well, us or Everton would go, well, hang on a minute. Like, if you'd issued that last season, then you could have, it would have kept one of us up, or maybe even like both of us, depending on if where everyone's in the league. But
I also think with the Everton thing was, I think the talk was they flirted with it last season, and they were working with the Premier League to make sure they stayed above the FFP line. And the rumour is that it's one transfer tipping over the edge, despite the FA and the Premier League's already holding the hand. So this is why I'm a bit like, well, why is it up in charge there? Because they obviously were flirting with it, and they obviously knew what line they had to stick to. If they've got over it,
it'd be interesting to see if they do anything if they go down. Because I believe that they're waiting to see, are they staying up or are they going down? Because if they're going down, the EFL can deal with these lot. We'll just
listen. We've just seen Wigan have been docked 4 points for not paying their players' wages. I guarantee you, if you look at the EFL, their FFP rules are ridiculously strict. They're actually a lot stricter than the Premier League. I think something will happen if they're found guilty. It'll either be a points deduction, or the worst thing actually ever to have would be a transfer ban.
Yeah, but the thing with the Everton one is though, is that it's really easy to dock someone points when everything's resolved. because there's no jeopardy then, is there? Like if you're already down, you go, okay, we'll give you 10 points deduction. It makes no odds to anyone. If Everton are just above the drop zone, and then you go 10-point deduction, it changes everything. The whole financial landscape of Everton and Leicester or Leeds and Forest, whoever it is that's in that group, the whole landscape. Yeah, Southampton might not finish bottom of the league, and like that's
probably worth £100,000.
Yeah, but it's the thing, like the whole landscape changes. This difference that points deduction is the difference between staying up and going down. So if they wait till the end of the season, and Leicester and like if Leeds will probably finish above us, I'm not going to lie. I think Leeds will finish 18th, us 19th. But let's say that's how it finishes, and then Everton get the points deduction. They go third or second from bottom, and Leeds then are out. That changes everything. But if they wait till the end of the season, then say, right, it's 10 points from the start of next year, Leeds will be like, oh, hang on a minute. Like, we've now taken massive financial jeopardy. We've lost probably 2/3 of our incoming revenue. Like, a lot of our better players have got to leave. And where's the justice there? Everton are still in the Premier League. They've still got a chance to reach 30, 40 points next season. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I think it's you've got to.
Yeah, the Guardian was saying it was going to get resolved before the end of the season, but that went very quiet, very, very quickly, which is a bit like, listen, this is not me pandering on Everton because it's Everton. It's just more of a, if you said you're going to get it resolved before the end of the season, get it resolved, you know. Because the other thing is, which I would think would be unfair on Everton, is imagine you get to like last game of the season, you just need to beat Bournemouth and you stay up and they go, oh, by the way, bang, 10 points, you're done. You know, yeah, you know, that can also have a detrimental effect as well. So, and as for Chelsea, I think Chelsea next year actually are probably the ones to watch because they'll have no Europe. They'll have to. They're going to shell a lot of that squad for FFP, but they will need a big. But you don't need a big. But you don't need a big squad. If you've only got 3 competitions to play for, we've seen it with us when we're not in Europe. You don't need a big squad, and they can just rotate with quality.
He's going to have to make overhaul out and in because he's going to need signings as well. And obviously, FFP, where are Chelsea with regards to FFP? Because there's no way you're spending 600 million. You're going to sell half your team, and then you're going to spend another 600 million. Someone coming around.
It's the word, isn't it? I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. But amortization, whatever it is, where they've put the contracts over like 7-8 years. So actually, on the annual accounts, the outgoing is significantly less.
Which is why they've changed the rule for next season. You can't offer more than a 5-year, or 6-year contract just to make it fairer. But they do have a target they've got to achieve by the end of June.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're in a bit of trouble.
I think that process has started now. I think it's rumours of Loftus-Cheek to AC Milan.
That's the thing, though. As much as I think they're a bit of a basket case for the club, they've got players that they'll make serious money on. They will make, Loftus-Cheek will still go for a decent fee.
Loftus-Cheek, stuff with Mount. I saw Pulisic linked with Napoli today.
Yeah.
So Mendy linked with Tottenham. Edouard Mendy, the keeper. So yeah, they'll probably make 150, 200 million pounds in just getting rid of players because there's so many players.
The challenge Chelsea is, and they're doing what all clubs do. We want this money, so they want 70 million for Mason Mount. I don't think they're going to get. No one's going to pay 70 million for a guy for 1 year left in his contract. And there could be a bit of a game with Chelsea, which is you'll be like transfer window. You wait till the end of the transfer window to see how desperate clubs get. People might wait till the end of June and go, how desperate are you to get rid of it? And that's where people might try and use Chelsea for a bit of a fire sale, which is, I know you want 25 million for Loftus-Cheek, but if I hold out for another 3 weeks, I'll probably get him for 15. And I think that's the danger they've got to face. But let's go back to on the pitch. I mean, on the pitch, I've got City, I've put 3-1. I think that, but it could be 4-5. I just, City are in that groove that is, we've seen it plenty of times that they just don't get out of it, and Chelsea just look devoid of all confidence, belief, structure, and they're just waiting for Pochettino, who is, let's be fair, is a very good manager. Interesting how Spurs fans feel about it, because I do seem to remember a lot of Chelsea fans weren't happy when Mourinho did the move to Spurs, because I think Chelsea Spurs don't get on. So it's quite an interesting one. Poch going the other way, obviously.
This the infamous battle the other way around. It's Chelsea getting a Tottenham man instead of Tottenham getting a Chelsea man. So,
and Dicker's on 6-1 City. That's fair enough. It wouldn't surprise you, would it? But what are you going for this, Jack?
I think it's probably a City comfortable win. I think we were saying off air just before we came on that like City win this weekend, they wrap it up. They'll rest. They'll do rotation squads for their remaining Premier League games, and they will focus on the FA Cup and the Champions League final. So I think they go strong this weekend, win the game, wrap up the title, and then focus on securing the treble. So I'd say 3-0.
Yeah, I think you're right. What have you got? What did you say, Luke? Sorry.
I'm probably gonna go a little bit lower, but I'm gonna go 2-0. It's gonna be similar to that United game. I think it was last season when they lost 2-0, but City just passed them off the park for like 60, 70 minutes.
Another game.
And I believe the title is going to be won before that game because I think, obviously, my prediction later on, I think they'll be champions by the time they play Chelsea.
Oh, even better. All 12 of them can celebrate in the stadium. Wonderful. Right, from one end of the pitch to the other end, let's talk about the Blues. Because we haven't talked about Blues for ages. We're going to have a bit of fun with this. So, Wolves versus Everton. Listen, Everton got the surprise result a few weeks back by smashing Brighton, which keeps them a point above the relegation zone.
Joe's still banned from the show, by the way. He's not made an appearance since we told him that if you don't beat Everton, you're not coming back on.
To be fair, I don't think Joe's speaking to anybody after that result, to be fair. And then they played a Wolves side who, form-wise, 11th in the form guide, 3 wins, 3 losses. Everton 15th in the form guide, 1 win, 2 draws, 3 losses. But, you know, you can at least see Everton are playing to a structure. Now, they've got some doubts, Everton, for the weekend. I think Nikolenko was a doubt. Calvert-Lewin's a doubt. Connor Cody can't play because he's cup tied, but I don't think he hasn't been getting picked since Mina's been fit. I mean, I think Wolves haven't really got any major ones apart from the 3 long-term injuries. So, Jack, how are you sort of seeing this? You know, Wolves' last home game before the end of the season. You have to think they want to go out of a bang.
I think you'd like to hope so. Like you always want to send your home fans sort of happy over the summer. Like what happens on the last game away is by the by. But I think when it's your last home game, you want to kind of end things on a high. So hang on. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Basically, but it's another one of those games that could go either way, couldn't it? Like Everton have got the ability. I mean, they showed it against us in that game. Like they showed they've got goals in them by beating Brighton 5-1. I think Everton could get a result here, but I think Wolves might just have a bit too much for them. I think they're pretty sound defensively, resolute. So I'd probably say 1-0 Wolves if I was. I think that is what I've put this weekend. I think I put Wolves 1, Everton 0. I think honestly, I think it'll be a turgid game. I don't think it'll be a good game of football to watch, but I think Wolves just edge it personally.
Okay. Luke, how do you think they'll get on? Do you think Pickford will try and do another 5-star frog splash instead of trying to actually save the ball?
Yeah, the less we talk about him, the better, because I think he's awful, to be honest. But if Calvert-Lewin starts for Everton, then I back them to win, because the difference when he's playing to when he's not playing is light and day.
I mean, to be fair, you know, most players look a step up to Mopey.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to go 2-0 Wolves. I just really need Everton to go down. It's the only thing that's going to make this season feel any sort of bit.
Oh, mate, you're so depressing. Honestly,
yeah, I'm not so depressing. We've been Everton going down would be perfect. We'll put a nice cherry on top of.
Oh, mate, if you think finishing 5th's like the worst thing ever, God help me. Good job we lived through the 90s. Jesus wept. That was an experience and a half.
I watched them in the early 2010s. They were, those Robo nights were.
Oh, the 90s were.
I like listening to you guys complain about poor seasons in the Premier League.
That's what I mean. It's comparable, isn't it? But yeah, the 90s was when Liverpool were just turgid and just 7th all the time.
I still believe that Everton are going to go down. I still believe that, but yet again, like you see Leeds, they're even worse. I can't even be so confident that Everton are going to go down because Leeds are just worse. So yeah, but I hope I've got Wolves to get the win.
I've got a tight 2 on Wolves because I do think it's one of those games that'd be like last the match of the day. It'd be absolutely atrocious, which nobody will want to watch.
It wouldn't surprise you if it finished 0-0. And that plays that plays right into Everton's hands. I think Everton wants to snap your hands off for a 0-0.
Everton now are just do not lose. And that's all they need. Because I think if you gave Everton
these results and then they stay up.
Well, if it finishes one, if they get a draw, they go 4 points ahead of Leicester, which means that pretty much rules us out because that means we have to get 2 wins without them picking up another point, basically.
And realistically, Leeds is a lead. Let's do the quick fire on now because next one is let's do the Leeds one first. Leeds have got their game against West Ham. Also, if Leeds have to win this because I think their last game was horrendous. So, I can't see them doing anything in that game. So I think this is their chance.
Tottenham are on the beach, so you never know. That could be one of the.
But as Jack said, it could be Kane's last game for Tottenham.
I also don't think Tottenham are on the beach. I think actually the way they've gone this season, they've pretty much been caught by the waves and washed right out to sea. I think if they didn't have Kane, they'd be exactly where Chelsea are this season. They've actually been
worse.
They've actually been awful. Yeah, that's what I mean. Kane has been. I think Kane has been as important for Spurs as Haaland's been for City. The difference is that Haaland's in a world-class team and Kane's in a team that just doesn't care.
Yeah,
and it's ridiculous. They would not be even within a sniff of European football if not for Harry Kane. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is, me and Jack were always off air. The West Ham could be a funny one because they played Thursday night, got to a European final, which is a big thing. So there's a euphoria of that and how much that takes out of you. There's also the ridiculousness that happened after the game where
players getting involved in.
He said ultras trying to attack families.
Yeah. Did you see that West Ham fan? So as the ultras are climbing up, there's like a West Ham fan that's literally taking on all of them. Just
he's keeping the gate shut to protect families and all that. But you're thinking
throwing punches, and I think Areola put legend and just the West Ham fan just throwing some hands. You get him in the UFC, he was throwing some knockout blows.
But this is where you want UEFA to show a bit of bollocks now and go like, well, that should be AZ bat-end.
Well, it wouldn't surprise you if UEFA banned the West Ham players for getting involved.
That's
exactly the sort of thing they'll do.
Yeah. How dare you attack fans who are attacking your family?
Here's an interesting stat. David Moyes is the first British manager to get to a European Cup final since Sir Alex Ferguson against Barcelona in 2011.
I thought you said Roy Hodgson with Fulham.
I know he's ex-Everton, but as the neutral, I feel like David Moyes is kind of vindicated with this because after his time at Sunderland, everyone was saying he was complete dog shit, but actually he's not had the best domestic season with West Ham. But his time at West Ham, he's shown he's a top manager. I think
he's done well in Europe. This is the first time he's properly done something in Europe. Listen, get West Ham to a European final. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
I know people say it's the conference final, but listen, it's still a European final.
I'd have taken it I'd have taken it all day last season if we'd have got. I'd have been buzzing off that. European trophy, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, who did they get? Oh, who did they get in the final
though? Fiorentina.
So it's a glamour tie as well. Fiorentina is a big historical name.
Not to go too off topic, but the Europa League final was an incredible watch. It's royalty in Sevilla versus Mourinho's.
Both of them have got 100% win records in European Cup finals.
Yeah.
Someone's always got to go.
Yeah. And again, Mourinho's going to try and set himself a record. Wins the conference last year to qualify for the Europa League and trying to win the Europa League this year. I mean, if he gets himself to the Champions League, fair play to him.
I think there's 2 players that could potentially win the Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League. Tammy Abraham with Roma if he wins the Europa League, and then Mkhitaryan if he wins the Champions League with Inter. They would have been the only 2 players to complete the set.
Yeah, which is a unique thing there. Anyway, let's go back to scores. I've got 2-1 Leeds.
Bold.
I've got 2-1 Leeds because West Ham, the images.
I'm going with it taking too much out of them. But
yeah,
as Jack rightly said to us off air, it could also just be the euphoria thing of like, this is all of you play this game, and the ones who are going to play in the final, and we're going to rest everyone after that. So this could be people playing for places as well.
Yeah,
so I could see this being 0-0 as well, weirdly enough. I think you've got Leeds with the worst, arguably one of the worst finishes.
You called me down earlier, Chris, but this guy's doing 0-0s.
I am realistic. I have been pessimistic all season. Give me the realism for a change, please.
Come on, mate. He's still recovering from Monday. We're not.
Oh, yeah.
Let's leave him alone.
Fed up of seeing teams leaking goals. I like to see sturdy defenses from now on. Thank you very much. No, to be fair, I think I'll be honest. I think there is going to be goals in it because I think Leeds can't defend for Toffee even with Allardyce, and West Ham any West Ham could turn up. So do you know what? I'll go 2-2 draw, but I'll say goals 2-2.
The one condition though is this 2-1 is if they get a penalty, do not get pampered anyway. Fuck me, man.
Oh my!
I'll be honest. If Leeds go down, Bamford's in for a lot of trouble because he's cost them some big points.
The quickest flight out of the UK and get his agent to transfer him abroad.
Anyway, sticking with Sunday games, Brighton versus Southampton. Which I did hear. I was listening to a podcast and they said like, "Oh, it's South Coast derby," and he goes, "This guy went, do you know us and Southampton's like as close as Liverpool is to Birmingham?" You went, "Oh yeah, it's actually not as close as you think." He said they actually don't care about each other, to be honest. I think Brighton will bounce back because they're at home and Southampton are just turd. They've been like that all season. So I just think
when you sign academy kids from Manchester City.
He's good.
But you say that, but Lavia's been outstanding.
He'll
be in the Premier next season.
Window. I think the only player that had like any sort of Premier League experience was Maitland-Niles with like 87 Premier League appearances. The rest of them, 0. There was like no experience.
I think the youngsters done quite well for Southampton. I think it's the experienced heads that let them down.
Some of the I think even Ward-Prowse, like as good as he scored a couple of bangers again this season, but generally his performances have been way off it for him as well. Like, and maybe his I mean, I still think he cares about the club because he's a fan, but I think they got a few players that will probably still be in the league next season. I think like Carl Walker-Peters, Ward-Prowse, Lavia. Like other than that,
that team's going to get gutted. I think
there's quite a few. There's quite a few.
I think Ballacks will probably get a move as well.
I think Salisu might get a move.
Salisu, Walker-Peters. I think I saw links to Bazunu to Spurs.
But he's been crap this year. I'm not going to lie. He hasn't been good. Bazunu hasn't.
I think it went from League One straight to the Premier League. Like there was no championship points. Maybe him staying might actually help him out.
He's a young keeper. He's also a young keeper, and it takes a while for young keepers to adapt. I mean, look, Leeds had that with Melier. It takes you a while to find your feet and all that. Right, we'll rattle through these quick fire ones now.
Yeah.
Tottenham versus Brentford. I've gone 2-1 Spurs. Jack.
2-1. I'd probably say the same, but I'll be different just to be different. I would say 2-0 Spurs because they've lost Tony now, haven't they, Brentford?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, we've got a bigger fan than you. I think you've got a bigger fan than Tony. Ironically, we'll come to that. Luke.
3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. Oh, Bonk's got 2-1 Brentford. There we go. Someone's after that. I'll stick with you, Luke. Bournemouth versus Manchester United.
1-1.
1-1. Jack.
I'll probably go 1-0 United. I think Bournemouth could upset them, but Luke, stop pulling faces at me, all right? I got invited on here to share my footballing insight, all right? I'm going to do it.
On to any little hope I have.
Well, there's two things. One, Luke can't help his face. That's just how it looks. And two, Kev invited you and he's not coming. He's not even turned up.
Yeah.
He was in the chat earlier, to be fair. He was.
He's gone to bed now. He's texted me. He's gone to bed for his flight. Jake's gone 1-0 Bournemouth. David's gone 3-1. I'm assuming that's Bournemouth, but you never know. I've got 2-1 Bournemouth. I fancy Bournemouth at home, but I do think United will get the points they need in their 2 home games. So just before everyone thinks I'm going mental, I do think they'll do it. I think they'll do it in the home games. And Dick has put odds on Tony isn't appearing. You might be right there with that one. Fulham versus Palace. I've gone for a 2-2 high-scoring game because I think both sides are safe, and actually both sides are quite entertaining, which I never thought I'd say under Roy Hodgson, but it's true.
3-0.
What have you gone for, Luke?
3-0.
3-0.
Wow. I think I said 3-1 Fulham.
There you go. We all think high-scoring then.
Yeah.
I think that's
a good deal, apparently. And they've offered Zaha $200,000 a week to stay.
He said no, didn't he?
Well, apparently he's considering it. He should snap his hands off. No one's paying him $200,000.
No, but
unless he goes Saudi Arabia somewhere.
Yeah, or it is maybe that's what he might be looking at a Roma move or a Fiorentina move where he goes Europa League, Europa Conference football. Maybe he wants to try to Europe
football. I think.
So, well, but I think in Europe though, I know it's very poo-pooed in England, but a lot of Italian clubs, Spanish, they go big for the European continent and they make it an experience. So
we just seem to turn away the Europa League, Conference League. Well, apart from West Ham this season,
I think
it's a bit of snobbery. I'm thinking trophy's a trophy.
I'm a bit like that. If you got a chance to win it, you may as well go for it, even if it's not your priority. That's what you should do.
On that, when Leicester were in League One, I was gutted that we didn't win the Johnson Spade Trophy because I was like, I don't even know what it's called now. It's the Checker Trade Trophy.
Papa John's.
That's it. The Pizza Cup. But like, I was gutted we didn't win that because I was like, it's a trophy. Like you're in it, you want to try and win it, and we were the best team in those two leagues that season, and we didn't win it. So
that's why I was made it when Liverpool won the World Club Championships because it's just like it's the one cup we haven't won.
Yeah,
brilliant. I've seen me club do something for a first. Not very often you do that, so enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right, last quick fire one. Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. I think we all know what Luke's going, so we'll save the suspense. I've gone 2-1 Arsenal. Jack, what have you got? I should put a mouthful. Sorry.
I think Arsenal will stay in it. I think the league will be won at City, not at the City ground. So I think Arsenal. I think it'll be a really close game. I'm going 2-1 Arsenal.
Cool. Luke,
I'm going 2-1 Nottingham Forest because they need a point or a win to guarantee safety, and their home form has been very good in terms of being in the bottom half of the table.
They've got some big scalps at home.
I think Arsenal. I think they're pretty much they've got nothing else to play for. They're not going to win the league. They've got nothing else to play for. So I'm just going to fancy Nottingham Forest to get the job done.
Yeah,
fair enough. Right, let's. Next one. Newcastle are playing. Who are they playing? Oh, they're playing Leicester, aren't they? That's why you're on. There we go.
Yeah.
So we were going to have you. We were going to have you it up, but he decided he's too busy. He would be too busy laughing at us lot. So he saved us all. That bless him. They were really impressive against Brighton. Let's be honest. 2-0 up. 2-1. I thought Brighton should have got it to 2-2. They had chances, but then to be fair to Newcastle, 90 minutes, they were just ruthless on the break and 2 quick fire goals. They were deserved of the win. They are third in the form guide, as we were saying, Jack. It feels like they've had a wobble, but they are third in the form guide, which is 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. I think the surprising thing about Newcastle was they've just started conceding goals, which they weren't doing before, but they've got Wilson in form, 18 goals so far, and not to rub it in, but you guys were... I've watched loads of Leicester yet. I couldn't believe how much of a shambles you were against us. As good as we were, I don't think we had to go into too much gear, and I couldn't believe how many senior players... Tielemans being the obvious example, does not move. He doesn't run. He doesn't turn around. He just lets it run past him and go, that'll be done. That'll be me done for the day.
Yeah, I think honestly, I've been over us so much this week. Like we did our own like relegation special and stuff. Like everyone's sort of been talking about it, and it's just poor. Like I mean, not being funny, you guys really didn't have to get out of second gear on Monday, and you still completely like. Just like tore us apart. Really, I said to you off air as well, didn't I? Like, if you really turned it on, it could have been a 6 or 7. Like we were done in that second half. And I was watching Newcastle last night, and like I think honestly, Chris, when you said there, like Brighton could have got it back to 2-2, that would have been quite generous because first half Newcastle were absolutely relentless. They were all over Brighton. This is a team that plays out from the back and are confident, they're composed, and Newcastle were robbing the ball off them in their own box, and really. If not for some really wayward finishing by Almiron Joelinton, like it could have been 4 or 5 at half time. And I'm watching that. I'm watching Newcastle do that against a team that plays really good football and can play out from the back. And I'm thinking we're going to try and play out from the back on Monday night, and we can't play out from the back. We have not got players who can do it. You saw that we played ourselves into trouble quite a lot on Monday doing that. We could be in a world of trouble on Monday night, but. You know, the hope is that we're relegated, but the hope is that we're relegated by then, and the result won't matter. I'm not even going to watch. I'm going to play 5-a-side instead. My mate was like, "We need a body. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Yes," because I'd rather. Like, it's just I'm at that point with it, like where I'm obviously I'm going to renew my season ticket for next year again, but I've just, as far as this season's concerned, I've just kind of checked out with Leicester. To be fair, like. It is what it is. If we pull a result out of the bag on Monday, then it makes the last day interesting. But I honestly don't think we're even going to score another goal this season. So I cannot see this going any other way than Newcastle winning very, very comfortably. I think it could quite easily be a 4-5-6er. Easy.
There you go, Luke. See, That'll cheer you up, won't it? I mean, the only slight hope I can give for Leicester, and it's is there are a few niggly doubts for Newcastle. Longstaff is still not back from his ankle injury. Murphy's a doubt. Joelinton's a doubt. Trippier's a doubt. I think Willock's done for the season. That looked like a snapped hamstring. If ever you've seen one in the second half, when you see someone stop that abruptly. So, but I kind of feel Newcastle. It's only a few games to go. I think you can gut this out and find ways around it.
Even if Newcastle draw the next couple of games, they'll get Champions League football. Yeah. I think they'll just limp over the line. I've
got in my head it's 3-0 Newcastle. I just don't see them not winning.
I think Newcastle got the chance on Monday night to all but wrap up top 4. I think if they win on Tuesday, it pretty much wraps it up for them.
Because they'll be on 72 points.
And they are playing against the perfect team to do that, because as you guys saw on Monday, we're just done. This is why I've been on so many rants about it and been so vocal about it, is that this Leicester team is we've had some shocking sides. I've watched some awful Leicester teams in my life. I've watched the worst Leicester team in my life, the one that was in League One. But those teams, they had heart, and they weren't good players, a lot of them, but they had heart and they had passion. This team, they're arguably the best team as individuals that we've ever had. A lot of these players are better than some of the players that were in the title winning side as actual technical footballers. But the one thing that those players had that these lot don't, and was heart and passion and drive and commitment. And these lot have just gone, yeah, we're done. We're going elsewhere. This is something that I found out over the weekend. Somebody in our family is in the Leicester under 23s, and they told us over the weekend that most of the players have already got contract offers sewed up and signed up for next season anyway from other clubs. Leicester just haven't accepted the bids yet because they don't know what league they're going to be in. That affects the value we're going to get for them. But all of them have got contract offers on the table.
You're going to have to tell us afterwards who's going.
Yes. I don't know all of them, but I mean, we can all assume who the obvious ones are. But
Danny Ward.
I would drive him. I would drive him to any club and pay some of that transfer fee myself. Honestly,
I don't think Wrexham would take Danny Ward at the moment.
No.
I mean, to be fair, but actually,
they're going to get Ben Foster to sign a new deal.
To be fair, Ben Foster's probably a better keeper.
Probably is.
Even coming out of retirement. Luke, I mean, do you see any sort of surprise upset? I can't see it myself. I just think it'll be a routine win. I actually don't see Newcastle getting out of the second game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2-0. 2-0. I think the injuries that Newcastle have picked up in the last game could make it interesting, but I can't see it, to be honest. But yeah, I think Newcastle are going to all but wrap up Champions League football, and they deserve it. They deserve it if they get top 4 this season.
Okay. Listen, where you finish. So, no point moaning about it. I've sort of made peace with the whole Champions League thing. If we make it, grand. If we don't, use Europa League what it is, which is it's a chance to win a trophy, and it's the perfect opportunity.
Tickets ready for Dublin. That's what I'm doing.
But it's also the perfect opportunity to blood in the likes of your Ramseys, your Carvalhos, your Joneses, your Elliots. Tyler Moore. I don't think Tyler Moore will be here. I think he's going. But also the likes of Gomez, who I think Gomez is one of his biggest issues is when he looks shite is he plays 1 week and you don't see him for 6 weeks.
And plus Kelleher.
It's a reason to keep Kelleher for another year because you just say you'll play Europa League football so we can guarantee you that many games plus the cup games. But at least when they get dropped in, you can then go, well, they're not rusty because they're in. That's the way you use it. To be fair, that's how Arsenal used the Europa League this year, just to keep certain players ticking over. And then you sort of put the bigger names in if you get through to the knockout stages. That's how you should use it. But let's go on to Liverpool then. So Liverpool, second on the form guide for the last 6 games, only behind City on goal difference. Third in the form guide for home form at the moment, 5 wins, 1 draw. But they're playing Villa side, who are 4th in the form guide, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. And since Unai Emery took over, only Liverpool, Arsenal, and City have gained more points. They just look a transformed side with him in there and a Coutinho not in the squad. Who'd have thought, eh? And they're away from it's decent. That this is a difficult game. They're a really good side. They've got no Coutinho. I think Chambers is a doubt with illness, but he's not a regular for them at the back. In terms of Liverpool, all the long-term injuries are still out. Núñez is out with a tendon injury in his toe, so he might be back for Southampton, but I don't think he'd have started anyway because I think his time for starting is going to be next season when they sort of revamp a few things. Bobby should be in the squad, which is good. I don't think Keita will be in the squad. I don't think you'll see Chamberlain. I actually don't even think Chamberlain's injured. I think
him and Keita have basically been told you're not playing again this season. You can you've sorted out.
I think Chamberlain's more of a human thing from Klopp, which is like, I don't want to play you. You rip your hamstring again, and you got no club. So I think it's just protecting the player now. Just like, get yourself fit, get yourself ready for your next club. Which is probably the right thing to do. Keita is just, I think he's injured, and I just think he's not in Klopp's mind.
I don't think he's injured.
So I just think he doesn't want
that. He's been told, yeah, you're not playing again. So I think he'll just say that you're injured, but I don't. I
would say if Curtis Jones hadn't been in the form he's in, if Keita was fit, I think that he'd have got a few more minutes. But to be fair, Jones just took his chance and deserves what he is. So
absolutely,
we can, we've got to give him his credit there. Leon saying, yeah, what we said before, the form they've got is ridiculous, and look, they look brilliant because they get everything around. Ollie Watkins, McGinn's gone back up a level. Jacob Ramsey's ridiculously good, and Concert I think is an excellent centre back, and I think the fullbacks are decent, and they've got a keeper who's both crazy and brilliant, which is probably
Chelsea as well,
and he's still with Chelsea as well. But I think Chelsea have been linked with about 7 keepers, so right. Thoughts on the 2-match ban? Let's ask Jack. Let's ask him neutral because we all get stuck in our Liverpool bubble and we can all talk into it. I'll say that now. I've no real issue with the ban because look, if you accuse the official if they don't like it or you shout in an official's face, you are going to get a ban.
Yeah.
The bit I'm waiting for is the PGMO said they could prove what Klopp said was completely untrue. We've got the audio. We want Klopp to confirm it. Well, if you've got proof, play the audio. We know you've got it because we've seen it on Sky Sports. So play the audio. That's the only bit of non-clarity I want to hear is just play the audio. But look, Klopp knew it's only a 1-game ban, is it? Because the other game's suspended if he ever does anything again.
Till the end of next season, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but Jack, what was your take on it?
Do you know what my issue with it is? It's really naive from Klopp because he didn't need to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like it was completely pointless of him to do. Like I get that he's frustrated in the game. Like he feels like things have gone against him. He feels like the situation is what it is, and he's reacted very emotionally, and that's what Klopp does. It's why I imagine you all love him as much as you do, is because he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's brilliant at what he does tactically and improving players, but he's also passionate, and it's kind of what you want to see from your manager. And I just think that it was just completely unnecessary. He didn't need to do it, and he's really kind of only got himself to blame. But the thing I have about it is that I feel like managers are often held to a higher standard than players are, in terms of the fact that how many times you see a manager barking at the referee and the referee will go straight over and give him a yellow card or send him off straight away. Players, 5 of them all around him all at the same time. I just think that's unfair. I think if how many the Mitrovic one, if you compare the two, he got an 8-match ban, and it's just it's just one of those things where I feel like he's a passionate guy. He's made a mistake. He's overstepped the mark. So therefore the ban it's fine. I'm saying with Chris, accept it. It's not what he should be doing, but it has to be a more equal thing. If he's going to do that to a manager, players have got to be held accountable for it. Other coaching staff have got to be held accountable for it, and they're not. We see it far too often. But
the frustration
the consistency is not there, is it?
There is consistent there, because the frustration is, listen, he's got Arsenal second, but we've seen Arteta. Arteta shouts, rants, raves, sarcastic applause.
Pep's done the same.
Pep's done the same. No one talks about when Klopp got his ban for running down the touchline, screaming in the official's face. He got a 1-game ban for that. Fine. But what they don't highlight is the same referee, a horrendous referee decision where you see Salah get suplexed onto the floor and he gives a free kick against Salah, which you're like, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And then when Pep doesn't get a penalty, he runs off screen. Twice.
No, I was about to say the twice.
Twice. You're going like, there's no difference. As Dicko says, Newcastle's assistant manager, which, by the way, that Twitter account for him is unreal.
It's so funny.
It's so great. I can't. It's Tyndall.
Jason Tyndall being the centre of attention.
It's just pictures of Jason at every game. It's the funniest thing I've followed for ages. I don't even care about Newcastle. I just follow that. It's outrageous. But you know what I mean? That's what I'm like. If you're going to give Klopp a ban for that, so be it. But others have done it, and you just sort of let them off.
Well, the other ones, that other gif, when Mourinho sat on the chair and he's like laughing, and then he drinks, and then the decision goes against him, and he stands up and he throws it and he runs it. But that's another prime example of, like you say, the consistency. Like it's the same thing. It's getting in the fourth. Like the fourth official ain't made half the decisions. He just stands there and has to take the most sports officials just want AirPods or whatever, just listening to their own music whilst the managers bark at them in their ears, because they don't do anything half the time. They don't make decisions or anything, so it's not their responsibility to. But they're the ones who have to get it in.
I mean, apparently Liverpool have wrote to the FA and Premier League asking for an explanation on the inconsistencies against Salah. Listen, they can do it, but
nothing's going to happen.
Nothing will happen.
But yeah, again, Arsenal did get a referee sacked this season, so you might as well try it. You never know what happens.
Yeah, but he's been crying out for his P45 for a few years as Mason, and he's been about half a yard off the pace for a long time.
I mean, I think the other thing is, I think Klopp blew his top because it's Paul Tierney, and listen, Paul Tierney doesn't particularly care for Liverpool. Klopp doesn't care for him, and he's refereed us the most this year, which I do find bizarre. You're thinking like, after the last falling out that happened with him, you think like, there is that element of going like
drama though.
Would you not keep? Yeah, maybe it's a drama. But he's like, would you not just like keep it away?
Well, every club's got one of those refs, haven't they? Like ours is Craig Pawson. I don't know if you remember.
He's dreadful as well.
But the first season that we got, when we got promoted, 14-15, we drew 2-2 at Anfield, and Nugent scored that like worldy like bicycle kick off major box. But the penalty you got in that, Morgan slides in, and the ball hits him square in the face. Like his arms weren't even up, it hits him square in the face and goes out for a corner, and he gave a penalty. Like, and ever since, well, but ever since then, like Pawson's just been that one referee that whenever he referees Leicester, there's a really famous video of Schmeichel. So we used to do a tunnel cam, and after the game, they used to bring out the tunnel cam, and there's one they had to cut because Schmeichel comes out of the changing room and Pawson's there waiting. It's at half time. And he goes, just waiting for you to give us a cheap yellow card in the second half. And he's like, what? And he goes, just waiting for you to give us a cheap yellow card. And he starts like mouthing off back at Schmeichel. And you're like, you can tell that the players have already got him rattled even before he goes out. The fact that he's had to go back at him, like he didn't laugh it off. He like had to go back at him. You're like, and they had to mute it. So you couldn't hear what he said back. And it's just.
Well, I think this is where there's confusion is. So Klopp screams in the fourth official's face. Which obviously VAR pick it up and say like, we're just checking it to make sure if it's a red card, if he's gone too far with the mark, and they've gone back to him and said, look, he has screamed in his face, but it's not it's an over top celebration. It's not aggression.
He's not.
So he goes against the yellow card, but it's the manner in which he says it goes. You're lucky along the lines of you're fortunate that the official said it's only yellow because it might have been a red. It could have been a red. You're going. You don't need to phrase it like just give him a yellow.
You could do that for anything you give a yellow card for. Like like if somebody makes a foul and you go, if you'd caught him a little bit higher, that could have been a red. Like just keep your mouth shut, do your job, don't patronise him, just give him a yellow or a red and go back and get on with the game. Like it's
I mean, listen, I still love Klopp when he got sent when he gave him the V's and walked off, which is the funniest thing I've seen. Because to be honest, let's be fair, as a fan, we'd all have done that. We've gone,
the best one is still Wenger standing on top of the dugout at Man United, being like, where am I supposed to go? Yeah, that's the best one. Like that'll always be iconic. But.
So listen, like, concerned? No Klopp on the sidelines. I mean, he's done it already. It was Southampton at home, but Villa.
It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be quite a low-scoring game. I've got 1-0 Liverpool. It's going to be a really tough game. Not Newcastle. Villa are going to have their chances, and it's going to be another Alisson masterclass like he's done all season long. So 1-0 Liverpool. Salah penalty.
Jack, how are you seeing it?
Do you know what I think? I know you're on an incredible run of form at the moment, but I think if there's one game you could slip up, it'd be this one. I don't think you will, because I think you're hitting such a run of momentum. Like I said, Monday night, you didn't have to do anything and you won easily. And I know that's against us, and Villa are a completely different animal. But I just think momentum is such a big thing in football. Like if you lose momentum, it's so hard to grasp it back. Like you guys nearly on a quadruple last season, and it took you over half a season to get back to that form. And now you are back in that form that you were showing last season. It's so hard to get it back. It takes such a long time. And now you've got it. I think you'll carry it on. It will be a tough game. It will be close. That Villa will have chances because I still think you're a little bit susceptible at the back. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay. But cool. Oh, Luke, who's you got? You said Salah, wasn't it, your goal scorer?
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to go 3-1. Watkins will score for them because he always scores against us. Salah, Gakpo, and I think Bobby comes off to get the third. I think this is going to be his little farewell moment. What if Bobby? I was talking between Bobby or a Milner penalty, but I think Firmino might go off the bench and get a third.
Yeah.
So cool. So quickly talk about the lineup, and then we'll talk about the players that are leaving. So I think the only question from the side that played against Leicester is, if it was me, I would start Jota if he's fit over Diaz. I just felt Diaz looked just a little bit off it.
Yeah.
Which is understandable because he's coming back from a very long-term knee injury. But you know what? Putting Diaz over the last half an hour with that pace will scare the shit out of most sides. And actually,
he's going to be probably up against Ashley Young.
That's probably the best time to put him on is against an aging winger. So, and that's what I think. So that, for me, I'd only make one change, which would be Jota in for Diaz. Other than that, I'd leave the rest of it the same.
It's not broke, don't fix it. Apart from that one position.
Jake's asking, if we get a penalty and Bobby is on the pitch, do we think he takes it?
If we're winning.
I think he takes it if it's 2-1 with a minute to go, or if we're 3-0 up. I think if it's 0-0, 1 or 0-0, I think then it's either Salah or Milner take it. That's how I see it. But it'd be nice for Bobby to score in his last game. So, right. So, 4 players definitely leaving. The club announced it this week. So, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, Firmino, and Milner. Klopp went to great lengths to make sure Keita and Ox aren't forgotten. You know, because listen, have they had as big an impact as the other two? No, they haven't. But if we talk about Chamberlain, I think people forget up until the knee injury,
Roma against Roma, yeah,
he was what we needed in midfield. The dynamic midfielder, running from deep, shot from distance. Probably haven't really got anyone since. I still
remember being in the pub watching that game with my girlfriend, who's now my fiance, watching that game. The atmosphere in that pub was insane.
Yeah,
when Oxlade-Chamberlain scored that goal.
It's just unfortunate a lad whose body's let him down. But he did get himself fit for the title-winning season where, you know, that middle period, he does play games and does score big goals for us.
Helped us even last year.
And it helped even last year. More than playing the wing, probably not playing the position he wants. Comes across as a nice lad. I think he's very well liked in the squad. He's just unfortunately one of those players, his body lets him down. And if I'm honest, Keita will go down as one of those, in my head, a what-if players in. He had brilliant moments, and the one I can think of is semi-final against City, FA Cup. He was outstanding, the Palace volley. To be fair to him, the League Cup final, where he literally on 10 minutes notice, Thiago's done, you're on.
Yeah.
You know, so he has 10 minutes to warm up, get on, and he does really well against N'Golo Kante, who is a ridiculous player. But he also has some really big lows, hooked before half-time at Real Madrid. His last game against Palace just didn't go for him. I think some of that is injuries. You know, I do wonder if maybe in hindsight
out a little bit in the Champions League final where he didn't get the call.
Yeah, and if it's fair to him, last year when we were going for 4 trophies, he was one of the 4 that played regularly.
I think he made like 40 appearances last season, which is the most he's made.
If you look at it in hindsight, you can understand being a bit disappointed in the Champions League final, thinking, well, only Henderson was fit out of that midfield 3. Thiago was nursing an Achilles injury, and Fabinho didn't play for a month with a hamstring injury. So you could understand it. So, and then we've got the other end of the spectrum. We've got Milner and Bobby, who have played the most games for Liverpool under Klopp. You know, Bobby's top, Milner's second, or the way around. I think next one below that is Salah, then it's Henderson. And listen, they've both done brilliant things for Liverpool. I think Milner, it gets overstated. I think it gets understated his quality. And people go, he's a leader, he's
I think it's more off the pitch rather than
but I think on the pitch gets underplayed a lot. Big penalties. Sorry, Jack, the one against Leicester in the title winning season.
No, you're right.
People forget. It's his cross for the Lovren winner against Dortmund. He had to go play a year at left back.
Yes.
The 4-0 against Barcelona. We go, we've got injuries. You have to play left back against Messi. All the best. Does really well. And then Firmino, I love Bobby because he's the perfect mix of silky skill and works his bollocks off.
Yeah.
Did he score enough goals? Probably not, but he scored big goals and spectacular goals.
My favourite goal was in lockdown against Spurs. Tim Shaw was like, I can't really see anyone getting ahead to this. Cross comes in, Firmino scores a header, and it's like, that was great.
Tell you one of my favourite Fabinho memories was actually against us. You remember in the lockdown game where we beat you 3-1 and Alisson and Kabak had that?
Yeah.
But his assist for Salah's goal,
yes.
he did almost like the Zidane turn, but just stopped halfway through and just laid it off for Salah and he just guided it into the corner. It's just that's Firmino in a nutshell for me. Like he's a workhorse, but also a Brazilian footballer at the same time.
Yeah, but he was flair with substance. I've seen lots of players who could do all the Firmino flicks and tricks.
Villarreal just left Soldado.
Oh yeah, I was lucky to be out that game. He's just ridiculous, but he's also a player. Plays with a smile on his face, and you just can't help it. But I mean, me and Gav said it.
Seen him moan or complain nothing in the media about him being unhappy, fallouts at all. But
no, he's done well. I mean, the 7-0 when he came on, being in the ground, you could feel it in the ground. They're all like, just want Bobby to score. And having that moment, that was the biggest. You generally thought it was like the Spurs last minute winner. It's one of the biggest lift offs because everyone knows he's going, but he's so likable. I do think for all four, they're leaving at the right time. I think it's the right time for all four of them to leave, but it's still sad to see them go. But Jack, look, we always get stuck in a Liverpool bubble.
No, I get it.
But outside looking in, what's your sort of take on those four players? How have you sort of seen them?
I'll start with Oxlade-Chamberlain because I think he's the one that, as an outsider, you look at and go, it's an absolute waste of unbelievable potential, and it's not his fault. Like injuries completely ruined him. It's not like players like Dele Alli who it's their kind of mental. And Dele Alli is obviously clearly going through a lot of stuff himself, and I don't want to dig him out too much. But he had the world at his feet, and he was one of the best players in the Premier League, and it kind of slipped away for whatever reason. But Oxlade-Chamberlain had it taken away from him by injuries. He was a phenomenal footballer. He was a serious athlete. He could do a bit of everything. Like you see a lot of, he could carry the ball, he could shoot, he could pass. Like he was a physical player, and his body's just let him down. And maybe it's a case of he was one of those. But there's the odd player where they get put into teams from a very, very young age, and their body just can't cope with it, and they end up getting ruined by injuries as they get older. Like Wilshere, like you said, Luke, is another great example of that. But it'd be so interesting to see what could have happened to Oxlade-Chamberlain if he hadn't had all the injuries and the ceiling he could have reached.
He'd still be here. I think so. I reckon that he'd still be here. If he didn't pick up that injury, then...
Well, I was at the... Because I'm going to the Liverpool women's games. One of the Liverpool women had done her ACL not long after Ox had done his. So she'd done some rehab with him. And I said, how bad's his injury like? Because they're going on. And she basically went, he's ripped everything, What? Everything in his knees ripped. And his hamstring tendon. They basically said it's horrendous. I do think the injury he got against Roma, probably 5 years earlier, I don't think he'd have even played again. So the fact he's actually got himself back playing is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he's so unfortunate because he could have been. I think he had the potential to be like an England great, like he could have been, but it was just not to be for him. Keita, I think, came with a massive reputation and a huge potential, but he's ended up being a bit disappointing, unfortunately. Personal highlight for me was that attempted shot in the Champions League final, which
don't use
it was pitiful.
The bad thing is earlier in the season he did the same thing as Atletico Madrid and he goes top corner. That's probably the yin and yang with him, unfortunately. That's the way it went.
Yeah, that sums him up, doesn't it? Really, he is from the sublime to the atrocious, like within with a flip of a coin. Do you know what I mean? Like that was
like that
Naby
meme
Keita.
Zidane to like Bentner in like 30 seconds. That's Keita sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mighty One, for the super chat. We don't get many of them, do we, Luke? Look at that. It's another one for the pot.
First one when I've been on, yeah. So
there you go. See, just when you start talking, so it must be. You must be the key one for it. I forgot this. Do you remember this? And Dicko said his wife was at the away end when Clavan got the winner at Burnley.
Yes.
Ragnar Klavan.
Wasn't it
Eurovision last year? Eurovision last week, wasn't it?
That was the best about Eurovision.
Boss, lad.
Oh dear. Then it was so Milner. I think it's just he's been playing in the Premier League for like over 2 decades. He's a ridiculous footballer. He's played for some massive clubs in the country. I
think he's 35 short of the record now.
Yeah, and he's an incredible athlete. His footballing ability is starting to waver a little bit. I think he is just. I think Klopp just loves him and his ethic and everything about him. Like it's got. Do you know when Klopp was breaking through at Dortmund? I feel like Milner is like a better version of Kevin Grosskreutz. You know, like the guy he just depended on, and he played him everywhere, didn't he? He played him at fullback. He played him midfield. He occasionally played like off the striker. Like I think he's just.
1 second, sorry. Mags on top. See you later, sunshine. I'm all for fans coming in and having a laugh like. But
that's just you.
Congratulations! That's Champions League football.
It's just now. Sorry, it's just you, and he's had a few pints. That's all it is.
He's much. I've seen his WhatsApp stuff. It's much worse than that.
But yeah, but Milner, yeah, I think he's just Klopp just loves him because he's the kind of person that everybody wants in their squad. Like where literally he's a square peg in a round hole, but he's the best square peg you could put in that round hole. He will do anything for you. He'll run through brick walls, and until recent years, he had ability, and it's just his body is aging. As
when he comes on the pitch, the first time he's getting yellow.
Yeah, but he's a top player, and I as an outsider looking in, I can't say enough about Roberto Firmino. I think in 10, 15 years time, I think recency bias kind of changes it, and nostalgia plays a big part in football. I think maybe in 10, 15 years time, he will be regarded as a Premier League great. You know, like the same way that like Dennis Bergkamp is. Like people look at him and they go, yeah, he didn't get the goals that Henry did, and he doesn't have maybe quite the same highlight reel as Henry did, but for like obviously the famous Dennis Bergkamp goal is the one at Filbert Street against Leicester, isn't it? Like Firmino's got moments like that where he just pulls something out of the bag, and he's incredibly skillful. I think he goes in that category. I think he goes in. He's
so selfless because that front three works as a unit, but he was the key part because he was so selfless. It allowed, to be fair, 2 very alpha footballers in Mane and Salah to score the goals. You know, listen, one of my favourite Bobby moments is actually off the pitch, which is Burnley away. Mane and Salah have had a proper kick-off, and there's a tunnel cam where they're both walking off, looking really sad, and the camera pans to Bobby, and he's just like that, smirking, like side-eye. It's just that look like, I don't always like this.
I feel like it is. If I compare it to anyone, like if I talk about like iconic Leicester players, like, and I'm not comparing him ability-wise at all, so let's not get this misconstrued, but the role that Firmino played in those seasons for Salah and Mane was like the role that Danny Simpson played for Riyad Mahrez in the title-winning team, where he was just like, I'm just going to stay here and do all your defensive duty and mark 2 players at the same time because I know you will win us games and you will get us points. So you go and do your own thing, and I will do the dog work.
I know what you mean.
Marking. And it's that Firmino did all. Well, it's similar thing. Like, but Firmino did all the donkey work, whilst those two stole the limelight, really. And then, obviously, as things have progressed and the style at Liverpool's changed a little bit, I feel like Firmino's been able to sort of cement his place as actually being no, I am just as good as these two, but in a different way.
I think so. Yeah. I do think he suffered from the. I think the other thing with Firmino is he's just started to pick up injuries, which, to be fair to him,
this is the right time
for the first 4 or 5 years, he never missed a game. He was always there, and he's just a key player. I was glad he got his moment like World Club Cup final, in Brazil. Yes. Last minute winner in the semi-final, winner in extra time in the final. So, he got those big moments, which is kind of what you want for him. But what I love about him is he's got the right balance of what we all want, which is his skill, his grit, but he does know how to have a good time when he's not playing.
Yeah.
But it never affects his football. In like you don't see him come back like ballooned, because he's been on the last show. But I can imagine. But all the Liverpool players, I bet he's great for a night out. I think we'd all quite like a night out with Bobby.
He could go and play for anyone as well. Like he could go and play he could walk into most top teams.
Real Madrid.
I feel like he could walk into most teams in the Premier League and
there'll be a Champions League. There'll be a Champions League club. I don't see him staying in England, but there's a Champions League club that will go for him.
Do you think if with PSG losing Messi and Neymar, do you think there's a chance he maybe goes there, or
you can see him going there? I think the Italian clubs he'd do well at, and I think in Spain there's plenty in Spain he'd do well at. And Dick saying it's a bit like Kante doing all the work in your team winning the league, so forwards can work better. Yeah, he just makes
Kante
it tick.
Kante made Drinkwater look like a Premier League title winning player, didn't he? And then we also happened when he went to Chelsea. So it's every team needs to every player needs to have that one next to them they can rely on and make them a better player. Because football is all about relationships and partnerships, isn't it? You can't do everything on your own.
Yeah. So. I tell you, Luke, 10 years time we're gonna have some legend side to watch, aren't we?
Yeah, imagine if Masters was still a thing for you lot in 10, 15 years. You'd never lose, would you?
No. Just play those three at Alisson and Van Dijk. That'd be it. Don't forget the mid. Don't need a midfield. We don't have one anyway. So
we'd be wheeling out like Huth and Albrighton to play against like Salah and like.
Thing is, though, Vardy'd still be quick.
Even
in Masters football, he'd still be quick when he's 50 and got no hamstrings.
That was like when we used to have Julian Joachim. Julian Joachim, when he used to play Masters football, just used to tear everyone apart. But it was just because he was still rapid. I played with Julian Joachim once. He played for Whole World Sports, which is the non-league side that I used to play for, and he signed because he started working for the bloke who was the manager at the time, and he was rapid. He was absolutely rapid.
I tell you, Bobby to Bayern as a Muller replacement.
Nah, that's not really a Bayern signing to grab.
He could work it.
I could see it. I could see it happening. Absolutely.
And if Manny stays, you get the best out of Manny. So, and Dicko's put a few embargo stuff breaking. Breaking McAllister says yes to Liverpool, no deal yet, as it's complicated according to Romano. See, since you hear the word Romano, I can switch off then. Because he's just
apparently like the rumored price of 65 million. That's not going to be the price. Apparently, it's going to be cheaper than that.
I'm sure there is.
I saw like 80. I'm thinking, nope, no, not worth 80.
It's not my money. I couldn't care less. Pay what you want. I don't know if football fans get hung up over what the players go. It's not me paying it. I couldn't care less. And Dick also said, according to David Lynch, Klopp wants a centre back.
Good.
Makes sense because my gut feeling is Matip's on his way out.
Yep.
I think this is probably the right time for Joel to move on. I think the injuries have caught up with him. Nothing wrong with that. Again, another player who's been brilliant for Liverpool. And Klopp on whether recent form has changed transfer plans. He says nope, nothing's changed.
Good.
There's two ways to look at that. If they had changed, why would you tell us? Because just
that's a good point.
Yeah, so
Urian Timber's been the link for centre back. Apparently, Urian Timber looks.
Oh, we go. Sorry, the pound was a question for you, Luke. I was asking, was Luke Alex from the Isle of Man and the Tomb Review twin? Identical facial hair and background.
Nope.
Well, you go, Ed. At least he got his question in. This deal player gets a link with Liverpool. Timber. We've got a song for him at least, so that could be fun.
Yeah.
Right, let's leave it on this one because I don't know if anyone watched this, but this was balmy. Who watched the playoffs?
Yeah, yes.
I did.
Sheffield Wednesday, Peterborough.
So my wife said to me, friend, someone she works said he's gone to watch Sheffield Wednesday play. I said, oh, good. I looked and went, they got battered 4-0 in the first leg. She said, yeah, let me know when they get one. So obviously I didn't watch it. I thought, I'll just flip the score. Oh, it's 2-0. Oh, okay. But it flashed up 3-0. Well, Mark's last 5 minutes, this could be interesting. 4-0, he went, oh my God, extra time. Then they can see, then they score again. And then it's a pretty decent penalty. I was just like, what an absolute bonkers game. It's much better than watching anything else. But I love the playoffs. I think it's some of the most exciting football you'll watch. I'd hate to be in it because it's probably stressful as anything. But to watch it as the outside looking at it, it's brilliant. So he tells what it's like. Obviously, Jackson, you could have been in it.
Well, I mean, the last time we were in it was the Deeney moment. I was there at Vicarage Road that day. It was
Oh
yeah. So that's
Didn't they
how.
Didn't they go on to lose the final though?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
people look.
I was going to say,
I called the Watford fans out on this, like on our Twitter account, like because it was obviously a couple of weeks ago. It was the 10-year anniversary, and they were selling like merch and special like stuff on their website. And I just quote tweeted it and was like, it's really weird that they celebrate this because they lost the playoff final the following season. They finished like 13th, and we won the league by like 10 points, and then started the greatest chapter in our history. Yet they celebrate it, and we're just like, it happened. Well done. Like as an isolated incident, 100%. I get it. It's an incredible moment. Like but in terms of why you'd celebrate after 10 years, it's like, okay, well, we won, and then
I'd get it if they got.
We went backwards. Yeah, they went backwards after that. Like the following season, like we went down there because there was a huge like furore about it because obviously Knockout. He dived to win the penalty. Not going to lie, I can say it now, but he dived to win the penalty in the first place. There was a massive like amount of tension, like because I went down there to watch that game as well the following season, and we absolutely smashed them. We beat them 3-0, and it could have been 7 or 8. Knockout scored, and honestly, like they just went like that. They were sort of in the running for the playoffs at that point, and then after that, they just tailed away massively, and we went on to achieve everything we've achieved since. And it's just a weird one. But the playoffs itself, I mean, my other previous one was, I don't know if you remember Jan Kermigan's Panenka attempt against Cardiff.
Yes.
Where we'd managed to get back. But that was an incredible game. That was an absolutely incredible game. Steve Howard had one of the best individual performances in over 90 minutes that I've seen from any Leicester player. The man was absolutely unplayable. And we managed to get it back to penalties. And then Kermigan just decides to dink it straight down. I think it was David Marshall in goal. Just literally.
He just stood still and caught it.
Yeah. But it's just, but that's the thing. My experience of the playoffs has always been heartbreak because those ones in the 90s with Steve Walsh and Ian Ormond drawing them in, like that was before my time. Like
that's winner.
Yeah, the only thing with the playoffs is I can't Wrexham last year losing.
Oh, were they in it?
Yeah, lost to Grimsby like 6-5. It was a crazy and back and forth. Crazy.
I think I was messed you when that was happening as well.
Little claim to fame here. Did anyone watch the Notts County Chesterfield game?
Yes.
Little claim to fame. The guy who scored the winning penalty, Kevin Scott, is I played in the same team as his brother at university, and even though he scored at Wembley, his brother scored one. We played when I was at York St John University. We played against York Uni. It was the first game we ever played together, and he scored probably one of the best goals I've ever seen. Like, and his brother's gone and topped it by scoring at Wembley, hasn't he, to get his team promoted? You know, not much of a competition, but that's my claim to fame. Anyway, one of my mates is that's his brother. So
okay, got Jake Klopp has also said only position we are looking at in the market is goalkeepers.
That's good.
Well, that narrows it down then. So that means now on Twitter we're going to be linked to another 75 players now. This can't be true. Antic said, did you see the Sheffield Wednesday fan who...
Yes, he did tear it up. He did. What a wally.
Do you know, people owe an apology to that woman. You know, the one who was putting coaches onto Wembley, and she got absolutely torn apart after the first leg. Like, everyone was giving her loads of shit because obviously lost 4-0. And loads of people were ringing her, giving like prank calls and stuff. Like, I hope everyone goes back and apologizes to her because football's a game of two halves or two legs in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's just, but I mean, to be fair, after losing 4-0, you don't expect them to turn around it.
No, you don't know them, do you? Like, but, you don't perhaps have to ring a woman and abuse her, though. You know, there are sort of levels.
No, but that's when you're in the echo chamber of Twitter and you can hide your face behind a football player's image, you get away with it, don't you?
Yeah,
I know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. Before we go, Ben, Luke, anything you want to add before we go? Any Wrexham news? Any MMA news?
MMA news. Loads of events happening. Dana White's announcing fights because it's been confirmed that Francis Ngannou's gone to the PFL. Tyson Fury's acting like the most insecure boxing world champion ever, calling out everybody because Joe Rogan said that if Tyson Fury and John Jones was locked in a room, he'd back John Jones to be the one to walk out of it. Yeah, just crazy. Just Tyson Fury talking utter rubbish as per usual, but it is what it is.
Awesome. And Jack, thanks for coming on again, back to back.
Anytime.
I'll still get your regular slot here soon.
Well,
where can everyone find you and your mate you?
So we're on Twitter. Obviously, that's our handle there, the Ballacks Pod. We're also on YouTube and on Spotify as well. I was going to ask before I went, and I don't know how you feel about this, but everyone we've done this with has thoroughly enjoyed it. If there is time, tell me if there's not. Would anybody like a game of Obscure Footballer of the Week?
Go on.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Just for people in the chat, because people in chat can play along, but please make sure we're not Googling because it ruins the fun for everybody. Essentially, the rules are: I come up with one random Premier League footballer. They're fairly well known. It's not somebody who's played like 2 or 3 games. They are somebody played in the league for a while. I read off some facts about them, and the first person to get it wins. Basically, nice and easy. And I found one here that I was going to use in our pod on Tuesday, but I will treat you guys to this person. So first facts, and I'll try and read them off fairly quickly, just because for time. I was born on the 21st of February 1979, making me 44 years old.
Okay.
I was born in, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I always pick players whose places of birth I can't pronounce. Les Abimes in Guadalupe. Okay. I made 383 career appearances, scoring 16 goals.
Right. Cool.
I represented France once. Oh, my light's just gone off. I think my electric's just gone. Hang on a second.
Had one in my
adding tension apparently here.
Yeah.
I reckon my fuse is just gone, but I'll stay. I'm still here.
It's like the other side. This is the final answer now. We're all like, oh no.
I reckon the fuse is just gone, but I'm all right. I'm still on.
Go on, who do you think it is then? Oh, I think Andico's got a good shout as well.
No, it's not Lauren Rivera.
Sylvain Distin.
Sylvain Distin.
No, good shout though. We're in the right ballpark. I made my Premier League debut in 2005 for Wigan Athletic.
Oh, Charles Nzogbia.
Ooh, good shout. No, not Nzogbia.
Seems like Figaro. Is it Figaro? No, he didn't play for France. Figaro. Trying to think of that Wigan side. Loads of random players as well.
I'm most famous for my stint at Tottenham Hotspur, where I played 65 games. I made most appearances for Spurs in the Premier League. So I went from Wigan Athletic to Spurs. I signed in 2006. Before playing for Sunderland, Blackburn, QPR, Doncaster, and Carlisle.
About to go Steve Malbron?
No, good shout. No. If I tell you the position, it probably gives it away. But any more guesses before I give the position?
So it's going to sound like Cabal or something like that, isn't it?
Sam Tandy's got it in the chat.
Pascal Chimbonda.
Yeah, Pascal
Chimbonda.
Yeah.
I forgot he was French.
Technically he's not. He's from Guadeloupe.
Well, I didn't know he played again. I didn't know he made an appearance for France.
No, I didn't. But Ewan did me on ours the other night. He gave me Yuri Zhurkov. I had no idea. It took me ages to get it. But
he was good. He was all right. Actually, sure.
Yeah,
that Wigan side that's the Wigan side that Baines in it as well.
Yeah, and Paul Sharner and they had some like half. Jimmy Bullard was in that team as well, wasn't he?
It was, that was Jimmy Bullard's team. Yeah, I was going through the team going Jimmy Bullard, no. I was going, everyone we've done it with so far really enjoys it, and we need to get Gav on a show doing one of these. Gav loves stuff like this. He also tends to get most of them as well. He's really good. Remember like obscure footballers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, cheers for that, guys. I enjoyed it again. Thank you very much for having me on. It's probably going to be my my last appearance this season. So,
no, we can always it's always good to have a neutral line anyway. Even it's only talking Premier League predictions, isn't it? So I'm sure we'll have you on again, mate. No problem with that. Before we go, hit the like button, and share it, and smash the subscribe button. But also don't forget our charity that we're helping out, which is Cancer Awareness. We've got 12 Dublin ladies trying to. Going to run the Dublin Marathon, and we've still got people want to donate for the golf day or want to sponsor anything on the golf day, just email us at lfcdaytrippers@gmail.com, and Gav will let you know what you can do, what you can do to help. Or if you just want us to get the prize and you just donate the money, email it to Gav, send him the money, and then Gav will buy it and send you the receipt to show you what you bought, and we'll use that for raffling the prizes off. But that's the most important. Unfortunately, cancer now, I believe it's 1 in 2 people it touches now, which is pretty horrendous. So if you could do anything, please do it. We know times are tough. If you can't give, then please just share the link around. Because you never know who it touches, and that'll normally help things. Let's leave that. We need more glow in the dark shirts.
It's not the shirt. It's the shirt doing all the illumination behind me. It's not the screen, honestly. It's the shirt that's doing it.
Well, could be quite handy there. Cool. Right, guys. On that happy note, take care of yourselves. So, rest of the weekend is Matt is doing full-time. I've absolutely no idea who's doing full-time Redvers because the rest of us are all going out getting drunk. There is no Fatback 4 this Sunday, giving the guys a weekend off. And then from Monday, winners or losers, we're back in the same routine. And no doubt me and Luke will be here for next Friday for the last game of the season.
We're going to have what we're going to do post-season. There's no football on, so...
Oh, don't worry, mate. I'll have some random draft for you to do or, things like that. You'll
finally
hate it.
I can get involved in one of these. I've been looking forward to getting involved in one of those.
Wonder if they'll let me do a quiz again. No, maybe not. After the
Probably
last
not.
one. Probably not after the last one, but we'll talk about it another time. Right, listen then. Thank you for watching. Speak to you all very soon.
Let's go.